Okay, guys, here we are. Number 2, the Freedom Exchange. Our second conversation is getting ready to start with our girl, Adrianne. We're just going to wait for a few minutes and make sure more people can join us. And we're also going to check our technology because we are not awesome at it yet. So how does it look over there to our little tech assistant? She's like, don't put me on it.
You won't be on it.
No pressure. No pressure.
Yeah. Let's see if it's on.
Happy Sunday, everybody.
Happy Sunday, y'all. Sunday fun day.
We'll get it. There's I think we're on there.
Okay, there we are. Yeah, it's there. We're just gonna wait a few minutes. Last time, if you watched us, we were really silly as this got started because we didn't know we were live and we were chatting. So I think we got it better this time. We didn't see anything embarrassing, so we're better this time.
Hey, it's all about practice.
Yeah,
That's right. Practice makes perfect.
Well, what do you think? I said wait a few minutes, but I'm impatient. I'm excited.
Okay. All right, we're on.
Okay.
Yay.
Okay, we're going to get started. So welcome again to the Freedom Exchange, our second live conversation. We have been talking to Adrianne for a while now because she was one of the first girls we knew we wanted to include in these conversations, but we had to get ourselves situated. And here we are, it's finally here. So I'm going to let Christy kind of talk about what Freedom Exchange is.
Well, the Freedom Exchange is a place, kind of a platform that people can come to and listen from the person's mouth that has been in prison and ask questions. We talk about topics that are important, that are controversy, and really our goal is to bridge the gaps of communities, people that have been in prison, people that have not been in prison, that don't have any idea what it's about. You can watch lots of shows about it, but until you actually talk to somebody who has gone through it, you really don't know. And there's people in prison, there's so much more than, you know, someone who committed a crime. And so the fact that I went to prison, I found that out. So I knew when I got out that we would have to tell stories and tell live true stories about people that have done incredible things to either get themselves out, to advocate for themselves, to help other people. So we just want to bring that out here into the community.
Yes, and I think the difference between me being here and Christy being here is I've just been a curious person. I've watched the shows, I've asked the questions, I've done some of my own research. It's an interesting world for me. It took me a while for me to realize that I am what you call directly impacted by incarceration. And
I like your lingo. You're getting the lingo down.
She is. I'm so proud of her.
It's interesting that my father went to prison when I was a teenager, and it did impact my life, but I didn't realize how it impacted my life until I started to pay attention to some of my emotions, my feelings, my behaviors, my thought processes. And I didn't know what it was that drew me to prison shows, to learning about the prison life. And I think it's sort of being all revealed to me in the last few years, and it's all coming together. And so my heart is to continue to learn and continue to meet formerly incarcerated people, because what I'm learning is we are so much more the same than we are different. Yeah. I'm learning that there is a judgment. Unless you want to learn more about it, you're going to have an us and them mentality possibly. And the more people I have met, Christy, I spend almost every day in some form with Christy, we realize that we are so similar. And when you feel close and similar to someone, it connects you, and it makes like you said, the bridge. It just pulls us together. So one of the things it's important for me to do in the Freedom Exchange is to give a little bit of education, because it's all new to me. Some of the language is new to me. And so over the last several months, I hear a lot of the words like clemency, pardon, commutation. There's another one I'm forgetting, a fourth one. But I just wanted to give a little bit of, oh wait, we just had a word from the tech person. Can we not?
How about view?
Okay. Oh, it's gallery. Oh, remember?
Thank you, Techie. All right.
Okay. We couldn't see you, Adrianne, but now you're here.
Oh no. Okay, good.
Yeah. So, okay. That's a good reminder. We should write notes to ourselves.
Yeah.
So I just want to give a little bit of definition. So clemency is a word you hear a ton, especially when there's an outgoing president. You hear a lot about the word clemency. It really just means leniency and granting mercy for someone.
Mercy.
Mercy, mercy. But it can come
Mercy.
in two different forms. It can come in the form of a commutation, which is that how you say it?
Commutation.
It just means to lessen someone's sentence, the time
Commute. Yeah.
they've been given, and the other is a pardon, which is forgiving their sentence and then restoring full civic rights. Does that sound right? So you can get certain jobs again. You can you vote?
You can vote. You can become a gun owner. You just get all your rights back that you had taken away from you whenever you got the felony. Sorry.
So clemency can mean a lot of different things. We know we have a friend that was granted clemency from Obama.
From Obama.
But she didn't get out on his last day, but she didn't get out until the Trump administration because she didn't get it pardoned. She just got it reduced. So there's
She just got her sentence commuted with stipulations. Each president does it differently, depending on how they decide to implement that process. I think Obama, I'm wanting to say like almost 3,000. He commuted a lot of sentences with stipulations in terms of, okay, so I'm going to commute your 20-year sentence with the stipulation that you complete RDAP, which is the residential drug alcohol program, and then serve a remainder of a year of your sentence after that, and then you will be released. And on some of them, he said, okay, so you had a 30-year sentence, you completed 25 years of it, you're immediately released. So his process was a lot different than Trump's process was. Trump, when he did, I think he pardoned 73 people and then commuted the sentence of 73, and the 70, I may have that backwards, but he pardoned people that were already out of prison, but because they had served federal time, they still had those things over their head where they couldn't vote, they couldn't have a gun, things like that. So he restored all of their legal rights in terms of what was taken away from them whenever they got the felony. Commuting the sentence means whenever he commuted the sentences of people like me and the other 73 people, or 72, he commuted our sentence and with no stipulations, immediate release. Okay. So each president does it different, according to how they decide to implement the process.
Well, before we get too much further in this, I haven't really officially introduced you. So I just want to tell everybody this is Adrianne from Alabama. And
Alabama.
Because of your awesome accent, I can't help but say, we're going to talk to Adrianne from Alabama, and I know I can't say it.
It's okay. You did a good job.
Thank you. So we're really happy to have Adrianne here. And
thank y'all. Really happy to be here.
Good. It's a big deal. I know for Christy, when she first got out, she talks about she wasn't going to tell anybody. And so I do want to thank you and tell you I'm just proud of you, and I'm grateful that you're willing to talk about it on this platform, because I know there can be a lot wrapped up in putting it right out there for everyone. So Adrianne's story, for everyone, she's going to get into it, but this girl, I keep writing the word tenacious every time I speak about her. Persistence, tenacity, determination. She never gave up. She wrote over 3,000 letters to many, many different people, telling her story, explaining why she didn't deserve the sentence she had, fighting for herself to get out of her the sentence that she was given. So I'm going to let you go into whatever you want to talk about with that part of your story, but I'm really wanting you to share what it looks like to not just take a sentence and do the time, but to fight for what you believe is fair for yourself.
And let's just pause for a minute on 3,000 letters. I did the math real quick, thinking that's a lot of money going.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, that's a lot of stamps. I mean, I think you can only buy one book every 2 weeks or every week, was it?
Oh, she knows.
Yeah, what was it?
Well, you're supposed to only be able to buy one book of stamps a week. But if you get the permission from your counselor, case manager, your unit team to buy more, depending on what the need is, they can approve it. So every time I would go in there, well, whenever I first got to Coleman, I was down in Coleman camp, down in Florida. It was my first camp. I came from two FCIs. Aliceville's where I started my time in 2014. And then I went on to Carswell. Chrissy is where I know you from, in Texas, in Fort Worth, Texas. And I kind of started the process in Carswell. And I was just sending out a few, but I was still trying to get my bearings right and trying to get my packet right on what exactly I was asking for. I was still trying to educate myself and get knowledge on what exactly I was asking for in terms of like who the administration, what they were looking for, the presidential administration, what they were looking for, like what they wanted to hear and all of that. So my process started actually in Carswell under a woman who received clemency under President Obama. I was doing the Clemency Project 2014. And that's whenever he was releasing a lot of, the 3,000 people. And she's one of the ones that got immediate release, as a matter of fact. And she had been in prison 21 years, 6 months, and 15 days. I will never forget. She had a 30-year sentence. So I got up under her. She's an older lady. And she knew her way around the prison system. And she had been fighting for herself for quite a while. Since Obama had been in office, she really went hard whenever he was in office because they were talking about clemency so much and they were anticipating him doing a lot of clemency. So whenever she found that out, she did it herself. So she got hooked up with, obviously, I talk about it all the time and I give them so much credit because Amy Povall with Can Do Clemency does not get enough credit, I feel like. Yeah. She is an amazing organization who started in 2000 when she received clemency from a 24-year sentence under President Clinton. She served 9 years of those 24 years for a nonviolent drug offense. And she actually taught me a lot of too, how to do the letters, but she did the same thing. I did the same thing that she did. So she kind of advocated for herself and she would send letters out. And I think she got her first recognition whenever she sent a letter. I'm wanting to say it was to either Glamour or Vogue magazine, and she got a spread in one of those magazines. Wow. And that's how she got her name out there. That's how she was recognized. I think she was Edie Bernice Johnson is one of the senators in Texas that actually, or congresswomen that actually supported her clemency. But so she started Can Do, which we all know what Can Do stands for. Or for those that don't know, it's CANDO. It's clemency, all nonviolent drug offenders. And she fights for people like me that have had nonviolent drug offenses. So Donna McDaniel was actually under her. So when I went to Carswell and I got up under Donna McDaniel, she told me everything she was doing. And I was like, clemency, I've never heard of this. I just knew from day one, my first day in prison, I knew in my mind, I said, for one, I do deserve this time, but I did not deserve the type of time that I received. So I knew that I was going to have to fight whatever that looked like. And in the beginning, the fight for me was just doing what everybody does, the direct appeal, the 2255, fighting to get your sentence reduced through the courts. That's your first step because you have to exhaust all of your resources going in. So that's what I did. That's where I started. And that process actually took place from 2014 until 2016, whenever I got to Carswell. I had exhausted all of my resources. I received documents in the mail from the court saying, basically it's all done. We say no to everything. So good. So at that point, whenever I found out about clemency, I was like, okay, good. All of my resources have been exhausted. Now it's on to the next one. Because like I said, from day one, I was trying to figure out how I was not going to do all of this time. Like how was I going to get out of doing all of the full 15 years? I did deserve the time. I deserved between 5 and 7 years, which is normally what a conspiracy carries with my type of involvement. So I knew from day one that the fight was going to be real. I knew it was going to be long. I knew it was going to be a process, whatever that looked like. So again, fast forwarding a little bit, getting to Carswell, getting up under Donna McDaniel.
One thing.
I heard, huh?
Can I ask you
Raise
one
your
thing?
hand.
I was
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, because the way you're talking is that this is normal. This is what you do. You just fight to get out, right? But you know, a few things that you said. First of all, for Amy to have the audacity, and I use that in such a loving term, to write glamour, I think is awesome. And
Don't quote me. It's one of those magazines. So
Glamour.
it's one of them. It was Glamour. Okay. Okay. Mhm.
You know, I'm trying to correlate people that are on the outside, have never been to prison, that never had to fight for their life. Maybe people
Right.
have like a deadly disease like cancer, things like that. But otherwise, you don't have to fight
For your freedom, your
for
physical freedom.
So then when you exhausted all those possibilities, what made you say, okay, great, now I'm on to clemency? Why
Because
did you say, gosh, I'm so tired, I'm going to wait a year? You know, like a lot of people do that.
well, of course, like whenever you receive a no from the courts, I mean, it's devastating. It's completely exhausting and devastating whenever you receive that no, because it makes you relive everything all over again. You have to go through. For me, sentencing was detrimental because I had to hear everything that the government said I did.
Yeah.
Government, that everything, and the government paints a picture that's not always 100% what it is. Let's just keep it real. It's not. I was involved in the Clements, in the conspiracy, but I was not the monster that they made me out to be. So when you go through that process, you have, and the government responds, you know, you've got this legit motion that you're putting in and you're like, oh my God, it sounds good. You know, they're gonna buy all of this because it's true, because nobody can speak on your character. The courts don't know your character. They don't know what kind of person you are. They form their opinion and give you a sentence based on what's on paper.
Yes.
What the government knows about mine was a 6 month span. That's not enough to give me 15 years. That's not enough to know about me to give me 15 years. They're forming their opinion based on what the government has said. And what is the government's job? The government's job is to prosecute you to the fullest. Their job is to make you out to be that person that they are sentencing you for, you know, like it's not saying it's not 100% accurate.
Right.
It is a little accurate and there is some truth to everything, but it's not what they say it is. So whenever you do this motion, you send it to the court and you're like, it sounds good. You know, I know I've said everything in there that I needed to say. And then you get this response back that's like, from the courts, it's like, no, you haven't carried your entire burden. You're a horrible person. You know, you did this, 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 and this. No, that wasn't your intentions. That's not the way it was, but that's the picture that they paint.
Yeah. And you know, me, like, how do you have the gumption to fight?
To continue to fight? Well, because it's different for each person. For me, I have always been persistent in everything that I do in life. I am a persistence is the key. And Amy Pova will even tell you that. Like, I think I've told you guys this, the day that I got clemency and I called her from the airport from a random person's phone because I didn't have a phone. Yeah. She was like, Adrianne, I have to tell you something, but I didn't want to tell you while you were in prison. And I was like, what? She was like, you were a thorn in my side. You were so persistent in writing letters and everything. Got on my last nerve. She said, but I like that. And you remind me of me. So it's different with each person. It's different with each personality. Mine was persistence because I knew that, I knew that my sentence was harsh. I knew it was too harsh considering my involvement. So my fight from the beginning was to at least, I'm not saying, I even wrote in my letters, I'm not asking to go home tomorrow. I'm just asking for support in commuting my sentence, whatever that looks like, even if that means going to RDAP first before letting me go home. Because again, I was there whenever Obama gave people clemency, commuted their sentence, and he put stipulations on their terms, on their clemency, meaning go to RDAP or whatever. So I learned, I had knowledge because I saw what was going on. I saw what was happening and how it could be done. So if he could do it for them, I know he can do it for me, because I'm not negating the fact that I committed a crime. I committed a crime, but my crime didn't fit the time. So that's what I was fighting, basically.
Adrianne, tell about kind of the naysayers and the lack of support you had from the other people in prison with you, the guards, like the share a little bit about what was coming at you while you just stayed persistent.
Okay, so when I got to after I left Carswell, I started writing my letters in Carswell. Whenever Donna McDaniel had gotten me up under her wing, got me in with Can Do, and she got clemency. I wasn't able to finish that. Donna McDaniel said, and she said it before she got clemency. She said, if I get clemency, I'm going to hook you up with Can Do clemency. She got clemency. She stuck to her word. She called my parents. She hooked my parents up with Can Do clemency, and I got hooked up with them. So big shout out to Donna McDaniel for doing that for me. Big shout out to Amy Pova for supporting me and helping me and believing in me. So once I left Carswell and got to Coleman in 2019, I really, really, really started pushing my letters. And so people thought I was crazy when I started writing my letters. So at this point, it was almost like an obsession for me. Because I was so determined and so obsessed because I knew it had been done before. And for me, I'm a believer and I know what God does for one child, he'll do for the next. So that was kind of where I was at in my persistence and believing in the spiritual foundation that I had to sit on. So I wrote my letters. My parents helped me. I wrote a letter. I sent it to my parents in a Core Links email. They put it on a Word document. They added family photos. We created a collage of 12 pictures, family pictures. Huh?
So smart.
Yeah. So this collage was like family pictures from before I went to prison, me and my dad, and then while I was in prison, and then me growing through my years being in prison, graduation from LCP, my graduation picture was in the middle of it. And then we had another page in the packet that was a small collage, but it also had all of the contact information for Can Do Clemency, Malik King, Amy Pova, both of my parents. So it was a packet. And then it was my release plan. So it was 4 pages in my packet: the letter, the collage, the contacts, and my release plan with a picture on my release plan. So I had this, and I had these brown envelopes that came in the mail every week. And it was like stacks and stacks of envelopes from my family that sent me these, that made copies of this stuff for me and sent them to me. They also had spreadsheets of addresses. Like I even had my family was like, okay, no, we can write this person. We can write that person. Y'all, on Sundays, when they would like recap on Sports Center, the sports channel, when they would recap the games or any type of sports from the week before, and they would do all the highlights, and they would, talk about the players that that were involved in prison reform. This player did this. This player has a organization helping the youth from drugs and alcohol. I would just go in the TV room with my notepad, and as they would talk about, they would recap all the sports, whether it was golf, Major League Baseball, NBA, NFL, hockey. It didn't matter what type of sports it was. I was in there in the TV room with my notepad, writing names down of anybody and everybody that came across that might, that might could be a voice or that might listen to me. My brain was always tuned into what can I do next? Who can I write next? I even got the Forbes magazine. I got a subscription of the Forbes magazine. I went through the Forbes magazine to see who supported Trump, and I'm going through that. And I have Forbes magazine still, and I should have brought all of this stuff with me, y'all, where it's marked up, and every person that I would write, my family would write. Wow. So I think combined total between me and my family, I know it was more than 3,000 letters because they wrote every one that I wrote. So,
but then I have a question, Adrianne. So if we have people listening that aren't in prison, and they're like, gosh, I wish I had this, or I really want to have this job. It seems like someone like you would be like, well, I'm going to get it, and I'm going to be your boss, and I'm going to make $5 million this year. And
yeah,
like, how amazing to have that, like you said, the tenacity about that. That's so, I see you being a lawyer, just so you know. I got to throw that
I know
out.
you've said that before, and I'm like, I don't know about that. I'm too shy in front of people. Thank God I can't see everybody that's watching. So, so back to the letter writing. So anyways, the women, the guards. Okay. So at count time, because of COVID, well, at night, before COVID hit at night, I would walk to the mailbox. We have a post office. We have a little mailbox out on the compound, and I would have a box, huge box with me, and it would have all my letters in it. And I would just dump the letters in the mailbox. And these guards would be like, she's crazy. Oh, she's crazy. Look at her. Bless her heart. I heard them talking about me, and then I'd have to go take my letters to them whenever I missed the time on the mailbox, and I would give them my letters, and they would go through them in front of me, and they would say, "Really? Do you really think this person's going to write you back? Do you really think this person's even going to open this letter? But keep doing what you're doing, Miss Miller. If it keeps you busy, whatever keeps you busy, whatever it takes to get your time by, for you to do your time, keep doing it." Okay. So then COVID hit. And at night, because we couldn't leave the unit, in order for our mail to get to the mailbox, the guards would have to come by with this big box, and we'd have to put our mail in the box, in the mailbox that they would carry around. And so when I lived at the very end of the unit, so when they would get to me, I'd have these stacks and stacks and stacks of mail, and I would dump my mail in these boxes, and they would go down and, gosh, Miss Miller, really, is this necessary? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fighting for my freedom. It's very necessary. So people would look down at the range, the girls would look at me, and they just shake their head, and I would hear them whisper, and then people would come up to me, and, I had a prison family, and they would come to me and say, "Hey, the girls are asking, like, why do you get all that stuff in the mail? And what's all these letters that you're sending out? And you sure do have a lot of pen pals." And, they thought it was pen pal stuff. And I'm like, "No, I'm fighting for my freedom." And my family would tell them, "She's fighting for her freedom. She's fighting to go home." And they would all talk about me, and they would all say, "Bless her heart. And poor thing. And she's a dummy. She's spending all of her money on stamps to send all these letters out. And it's never going to happen for her. She's in federal prison. She's never going to get out." So,
Adrianne,
and I heard,
go ahead.
and I heard all of that, and it just drove me more. It drove me more. And, like, I would have people come to me on the side, and if people would see me not writing letters, if they would know something was wrong with me if I wasn't writing letters. So one day I got a card on my bed, and it was from a girl named Kayla Buchanan. And she was a good friend of mine. I did all my time with her. And she, it was a sweet card. She knew I was going through something. And I opened the card up, and there was 2 books of stamps in there. And she worked at commissary. And she said, "Adrianne," in the card, it said, "Adrianne, we can tell that something's wrong with you. You haven't bought any books of stamps from the commissary in 2 weeks. Here's 2 books of stamps. Get back on your game." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." So everybody knew what I did. And whenever I didn't buy stamps, they knew something was wrong. If I was buying stamps, they knew I was okay, because I was in my element.
That's awesome.
And so I would buy 5 books of stamps, at a time. And it got to where I was buying 10 books of stamps. And then, I bought more. Sometimes I would go to the store twice a week to buy books of stamps. So whenever I had to get it approved, I initially went to my unit team, and I handed them my packet, and I said, "Here's my packet. This is why I need to buy stamps every week. I don't need stamps to mail out projects. I don't crochet. I don't do any of that. I'm not writing pen pals. It's not pen pal letters. I'm writing to get my freedom, like, for my freedom." So my counselor, he said, "This is a very, very noble thing that you're doing." He said, "If you don't mind, I'm going to send some people to you, and will you help them write letters?" So that's what I ended up doing in prison, was helping people write letters.
Yeah, that a counselor would do that, because most of the counselors in the BOP are not really interested in helping you in any way. So whoever that counselor was, kudos. I couldn't even
Christy,
get to see the counselor, let alone.
Exactly. Christy, at this camp, it was completely different. The counselors, because camp is so much different than NFCI, but also too, it was the nation's largest federal prison complex. So you have some of the older staff that are old school.
Yeah.
And they believe in treating us like we're human, because they know that we're human, and they know that they were just one mistake away from being where we were at. Yeah. So they, it's very, very rare to find old school staff.
Yeah.
A lot of them are retired now, that helped me, because they were so old school,
I love
so
that.
Mhm.
So Adrianne, just for time purposes, I remember I'm the time girl and I'm no
It's
fun because I
okay.
have to watch a clock. But
No, you're
there's
fine.
more we want to talk about. But you're so good at shout outs. I love that you are calling out the people that came alongside you and helped you. Can you just really quickly, so we'll move on to our next questions,
Yeah.
but the person who you got their attention, the letter that turned this whole thing around?
His name was Brett Tolman. He is, I think, a former prosecutor out of Utah, and he works very closely with Amy Povall with Can Do, and he works closely with Alice Johnson. And Alice Johnson was a very, very, very dear friend of mine when I went to Aliceville. She kind of like Miss Alice helped everyone. She took a lot of people under her wing, but um, she is a very good person. So he works closely with people like that. But I wrote him several times, and as you know, Christy, we have a loudspeaker in prison, and whenever they call you to the counselor's office or whatever, you got to go. So I was in my room one day, and I heard over the loudspeaker, Adrianne Miller, report to case manager's office. So I went to the case manager's office, and she was like, hey, and she knew I wrote letters. She was like, I don't know who you're writing letters to, but there's somebody from Washington that's calling the warden, and the warden needs you to get on the phone with these people ASAP. You have a legal call today at 2:45. And I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, who is it? And she was like, I don't know. And she printed it off and she handed it to me. She was like, do you know this guy? Brett Tolman, the Tolman Group. And I was like, no, I don't know that I do. I've written so many people. I don't know who I wrote. I don't know. I can go through my stacks and stacks of addresses that I have, and I can tell you. So she was like, it doesn't matter. We just have a call at 2:45. So at 2:45, I get on the phone, and he was like, hey, Adrianne. He was like, my name's Brett Tolman. He said, I'm really impressed with your letters. And I was like, letters? I said, I only write one standard letter. He was like, no, 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 no. Yeah, I got it 8 times. And I was like, oh God, I'm so sorry. He was like, no, it's good. Persistence is the key. He said, that's how you got my attention. You wrote me the same letter 8 times. So I figured I would call. And so we talked for almost an hour. And by the end of the conversation, he was like, you know what? He said, I've met a lot of people that are persistent. He said, but you're one that sticks out, and I'm willing to support you, and I'm willing to do what I can. I'm not going to make any promises, but I'll do what I can to support you in your clemency. And I was like, this was in March of 2020, March. Okay. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is really good, because I'd received responses from people, but I'd not received a phone call. Okay. I'd received a lot of no's, been shut down, whatever, but a no just drove me to fight harder. So, I got off the phone with him. I was crying while I was on the phone with him. I got off the phone with him, and I told my case manager, I was like, he said he was going to help me. And she was like, okay, good. That's really good. You have something to hold on to. So even then, I still continued to write letters. It didn't matter that I had the attention of one person. It didn't matter. What would it hurt to continue to write letters and get the attention of more people? Like, I'm not stopping there. Okay, so I got someone to call the prison. Oh no, I'm going even harder. Malik King, his motto, his equation is G times H equals H. Go times hard, go home. So, and he always used to tell me, Adrianne, go hard, go hard. He told all of us, go hard, go hard, go hard. And so when I got that phone call, I said, I'm going harder. I'm not going to stop now. No,
That's
that's not,
amazing.
that's putting all of your eggs in one basket. Why do that? So I took his suggestion, Brett Tolman's suggestion, and I did what he said do, and I wrote some more people. And he said, I'm going to make some phone calls. Come to find out, all of the prison reform people that are truly, truly for prison reform and truly just want to help people get out of crazy sentences, they all work together like spokes on a wheel.
Yeah.
So I came to find out that a lot of them work together, and between Brett Tolman, who I listen, y'all, and that's another thing that's funny. I send him an email, him and his secretary or his paralegal, Maddie. I send them an email every week. If I miss a week, I'm sorry. but I usually try to do it every week. And I tell him, thank you for my freedom. I send Alice Johnson a text message. I try to do it at least once or twice a month. I can't get to everybody. Amy Pova, I do hers in a group text with Miss Alice as well. Thank you for my freedom. Thank you for my freedom. I say it religiously to these people, just to let them know, because I know that so many people forget who helped them, and I will never forget who helped me. So big shout out to Brett Tolman, the Tolman Group, Alice Johnson, Amy Pova, the ones that really stuck their neck out for me and believed in me.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing
Yeah,
this. I think it's important to just,
absolutely.
like you already are doing, let's continue to share their names.
Yes.
Switching gears just a tiny bit,
Mhm.
can you tell us, before going into prison, maybe how being in prison changed your perspective on people in prison once you were there?
So before I went to prison, I really didn't think about it. Obviously, nobody does unless you have a family member. I knew plenty of people that had gone to prison, and I was always like, oh, bless their heart. Thank God it's not me. So when I went into prison, it was a complete eye opener to so many injustices and so many things that are broken in our system. So it was kind of a shock to know everything that really happens inside, and to see everything that happens inside, and to see that there's people that are in federal prison that should have gotten state time, things like that. I was so unaware. I was so ignorant to that side of the government, just to that side of the government. My dad has always worked for the government for as long as I can remember, but he's in the VA side. So, I remember growing up and hearing him talk and him doing good things and helping people in the VA hospital and things like that. And, them helping people and doing good things for people. But on this side, it's a completely different ball game. It's almost like which it is a different entity of the government, but it's insane. It's crazy. It's a different animal.
A different monster.
Yes, it is. And Christy.
Adrianne, how is the determination you had in prison showing up in your life today?
Okay, so the way I look at it is the way I was before, is if something is for you, it's going to be for you no matter what. It doesn't matter if you have a felony. It doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter. I believe that if it's for you, it's going to happen. Like in my field of work that I do in logistics, I know that I'm good at it. I'm not tooting my own horn, but everybody has a niche, and that is my niche. And I've always said it doesn't matter if you have a felony. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter if it's for you, and you are persistent enough, and you are a go-getter. You can get it. You can do it. There is no such thing as I can't. I don't believe in I can't. And that. No, you're fine. That rings so true now in what I do in my life now, even more so because because I fought so hard to get myself out of prison. It rings so much more true in my life now, because I know if I could do that, there's not anything that I cannot do, and there's not anything that I cannot accomplish. Because I did it. I did the hardest, so and I believe that when there's something that God has for you, no man can take away, as long as you are persistent in it and you go and you fight for it. That's just what I believe. And I believe that because we have been through so much, Christy, as you know, in prison, because we've gone through so much, really everything out here is kind of minute compared to what we went through without our families in prison. Now we're out here, we have our families, and if it's a hurdle, that's okay. We'll get through it, because look where you were just at.
And I hear you. And that's, you and I have the same philosophy in that, because That's why I talk about it so much. I tell Allison all the time too, we talk about it a lot. So it kind of, I hope to give perspective of people that have not been in prison, and someone like you with 15, trying to face 15 years, what that monumental barrier is like is so huge compared to, not taking away from other people's pain, but it's just not as, I don't know what's the best way to say it, but there are barriers for everybody. And when you hear people getting out of prison, they talk about these huge barriers. Because there are barriers. So, but I think like you, I found that if you have the attitude that's like, hey, I'm going to try, I'm going to work my hardest. I'm going to go to the top people like Amy going to Glamour, you're going to go, instead of listening to the people that say, don't write the letter. That's why are you spending all your money on letter writing? And also like, wait, don't you have a felony? You can't get that job, or you're going to have a hard time. And yes, people have a hard time, but why do you think you are persevering even out here with the same barriers, the same felony, the same convictions as somebody else? And do you tell people that you've been in prison?
I do tell people I've been in prison. I do. That is not something that I'm ashamed of. It's because my mistakes that got me to prison don't define me. What changed, or the change that I went through in prison was necessary in my life. So yes, I tell people that I've been in prison. And I'm sorry, what was the other question? And
just
that
the barriers. Why are you able to achieve what
okay.
you're achieving? I know that you said something about your job. You're like, you're working a lot. You're not expecting to be at the top end when you first get out. You're just have this humility, I think, that is so important when you're facing stuff.
Yeah. So, I didn't come out of prison expecting to get my dream job. I knew I would have to work at it. Just like I've had to work at everything else, and I had to, we all have to be humble at some point. And so, yes, I'm working 2 jobs and basically killing myself, working doubles and doubles and doubles, as y'all know. And so whenever I hear people talk about barriers and they're not going to work here and they're not going to work there, I'm working, I make $9 an hour at a job, at 2 jobs. I have 2 jobs and I make $9, $8.50 at one and 9 at the other. Don't tell me you can't do it. Yes, you can. It can be done.
Yeah,
It can be done.
for sure.
It can
It's
absolutely be done.
It's the effort you're putting
I'm
out.
sorry.
It's all you can control is your perspective on it and your attitude towards it and your effort you're putting into it. That's
right. And while I'm working these jobs, I'm also looking for a job in my career. I'm also going on interviews. I'm also putting in resumes. I'm not stopping. I'm not staying. I'm not just settling. I'm not just staying content because I have jobs. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, we're not surprised.
Huh?
It sounds like what you were doing in prison. We're not surprised. It's still who you are.
No, I'm not just staying put. I'm not just sitting here because I have jobs. It's not going to happen. I still have goals. Like now I have big goals. I want to buy a house, but there's also other things that I'm doing too. I don't know if you know, like I've just hooked up with a TAM and I've gotten involved with LOHM. Hold on just a second, y'all. Are y'all there? I'm so sorry.
Can you tell us what you just said, what it is? LOHM?
Ladies of Hope Ministry, and Topeka Sam is the founder of that, and she actually did time in federal prison, and she has transitional homes all over the United States. She's opening up more, and I've gotten hooked up with them, and I'm actually in a cohort. I do Zoom classes on Tuesdays and Thursday nights to become a speaker for women who have been incarcerated. So I am. Yeah. So, as well as looking for other career opportunities that, I'm climbing. I'm also doing other things too, to bring awareness to prison reform. I'm beating doors down in every area of my life and being so persistent in everything that I do, because I know it can be done. I know it can be done. I know my worth. I know my potential. So if I know I'm good at something and I know that I can do it, then I'm going to go after it. And if you tell me no, I'm just going to go to the next person.
Okay, Adrianne. So on that note, let's see how well you can conquer our speed round. How about that?
Oh yeah.
How
Oh
about
God, I'm so scared. Okay.
Here's, and we're gonna go into our fun little speed round and just put you on your toes a little bit because you don't know what's coming.
Well,
I
and
have
then
no
I
idea.
want to say that now I'm so happy to know that if I am ever feeling down or feeling like, man, I can't do that, I'm like, what's the next thing? Call Adrianne. Doot, 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 doot.
Call me. Yes.
Yeah, we all
Pep
need
talk.
people to do that.
I'll
Pep
talk you through it. We'll get through it. We will get through it.
All right, girl. Sounds good. Okay. So, and these should be just like one word answers, just quickies. Okay. What was your favorite prison food? None.
Hold on. Burritos.
Oh yeah, I like burritos. Okay. Describe yourself in 3 words and don't use the words, I just made this part up, tenacious or perseverance. Describe yourself in 3 words. 3 other words.
Bubbly, outgoing, loving.
Perfect. Okay. If you could talk in your sleep, what would you say?
Count time. Oh my God.
Explain what count time is for a quick minute.
Stand up count. You don't remember Mr. Passon? Whole body in the room.
Oh,
Get your
yeah.
whole body in the room.
It was brutal.
Count time is obviously where you have a stand up count at 4 o'clock every single day. On the weekends, it's 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. You stand up silent, no headphones in your ears, no book in your hand. They'll snatch it all out of your hand.
Yeah. And that's just for them to count you to make sure that
They
everyone's,
can,
I don't know where they thought anyone was
yes.
from Carswell. Where, I don't know where they think. I mean, get a
No.
the wire or something. I don't know where.
Exactly.
Okay. Let's see. On a scale of 1 to 10, how cool are you?
How cool am I?
Yeah.
I would say probably about a 7.
Well, I'd say 10.
I don't know about that.
I think you're very cool. Okay.
Thanks.
If you were running for office, what would your campaign slogan be?
Oh my God, y'all. Oh gosh. I don't know.
Oh, never mind.
You can say bad words.
No.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know, y'all. You got me on that one.
Okay. Well, we'll come up to another one. I know you have one over here, right?
No, I don't. Go ahead.
Okay. What compliment do you give people the most?
I compliment people on being kind because it is so important to be kind to people.
Nice.
If somebody is kind, thank you for being kind.
Yes.
Mhm.
I love that. What is the first thing you think of in the morning? Now that you're out.
The first thing I think of in the morning is thank you, Jesus, for another day and thank you for my freedom. That's the first thing I think about.
That's beautiful.
Good.
Are you a morning or night person?
Morning.
Morning.
Mhm.
And the last one is, how do you define happiness?
Happiness. How do I define happiness? Happiness to me is an emotion. I like to think of, whenever I think of happiness, I think of something deeper, which is true joy and peace. That happiness can come and go to me.
Yeah.
Joy and peace, whenever I describe my soul and how I feel, and where I'm at in my soul and in my life, either I'm peaceful or I have true joy, and there's nothing, circumstances or anything, take that away. So happiness is a bonus in life.
Okay, so our last thing we're gonna do is our question and answers, but before that, do you remember what the last thing we said to you before we got off the phone the other day with you?
Oh my God, wait, what?
What was
Do you remember
it?
something we told you was we had a surprise?
Yeah, I remember that, the surprise, yes.
You want your surprise?
Oh my God, yeah, what?
It's nothing wrong with your happiness. You ready?
And with the question.
Really? Are y'all gonna make me cry
We're-
right now?
So we're going to roll in question, answer, surprise, and we have a special guest.
Okay, come over. I'm gonna move the table. Push it forward. Okay.
That wants to ask you some questions and say hello.
Oh my gosh, it's breaking up a little bit, y'all.
Come back.
Okay, I just dropped my phone.
What up, Age?
I told you it would be a surprise.
Yo, when I heard about this, I had to fly across all the way across country. I couldn't miss this for the world.
Oh my God, I love you. I talked about you.
I'm not really here. This is technology. I'm really in Atlanta.
No, you're not. I know. I've seen the pictures. I already know. Oh
Adrian,
my
will you-
God, this is crazy.
Can you introduce to our Facebook viewers who just joined us?
Hello. Oh my God.
I want you to tell
Malik,
them
what are you doing?
Adrian, can you tell our Facebook Live viewers who just joined us, who is this and why are you so excited?
Malik's my people. That's my homeboy. Like, I love him. He helped me get out of prison. And Malik gave me the guidance and the drive to do what I did. And he helped me a lot with hope. Oh, I'm gonna cry.
It's powerful. What if I mean, when you're in prison, you're cut off from the world. So to have somebody pouring, hope and inspiration and love and letters and addresses, you can't really understand the magnitude of what that is unless you're on the receiving end of it.
Yeah. Malik does a lot for everybody. He does a lot. He helped me greatly. Sorry.
Well, he must love you a lot for him to show up
To
and
fly all the way to Oregon.
to fly over here and to show he didn't want to be on this. He's a behind the scenes kind of guy, and here he
I
is.
know. I'm
We're
shocked. I can't believe it. Actually, I'm really shocked. Like, that was the best surprise ever. Thank y'all so much. Thank you, Malik.
I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Huh?
Yes, it's touching.
Oh, it is.
And his heart's genuine, y'all. He has a genuine heart. He has no motive for anything that he does besides seeing people succeed and do great things when they go home, or great things even while they're in there. That's his only motive. That's his only drive. He has no motive behind anything he does. It's all from the heart. Like, he truly has a pure heart. Him and Amy both.
So can I
I
ask
know.
questions?
Yeah. Ask
Do you
questions. We
want-
have a few more
So
minutes.
do you
No.
want to look? Okay.
Yeah. So we'll ask.
Okay. He's going to be our question guy.
Okay.
He's
So
pretending.
towards the end of your sentence, you went to the SHU, into the county jail. So let's talk about that a little bit, and how concerned were you that was going to mess up your clemency?
Oh God. So I mean, I wasn't going to bring this up, but thanks, Malik, since you brought this up, I went to the SHU, which I don't know if people know what that is. It's segregated housing unit. And it's where you go when you get in trouble. I was not necessarily in trouble. I was being put under investigation I was too close to the staff, whatever. But so when I went into the SHU, I thought that was going to mess up my whole clemency, because I was told by the staff at Coleman that my whole clemency was going to be taken away. They knew everything that I was doing. Everyone at Coleman knew I was known for the girl that writes letters. So they would see me on my video visits with Malik, and I would bring all my letters. I'd bring a big stack of letters, wouldn't I, Malik? Like a big plastic bag of letters. And he was like, "Oh my God, Adrianne, you're doing a lot." So anyway, so they all knew what I was doing. So when they threatened me with every inch of my life, they told me they were going to take away my clemency and I would never see the day of light again. So I was very, very worried about that. I thought that he was going to call. They even mentioned Can Do. They said, "We're going to call Can Do and get Can Do to completely cancel your clemency." So I was very scared that they were going to do that. I didn't know that they couldn't. So I would write Malik letters while I was in the SHU, and I would say, "Can they take my clemency away?" And he finally ended up telling me, when I was reading those letters, because he was talking to my parents the whole time. So he told me that whenever he was reading my letters, that he was laughing as he was reading my letters because he knew it wasn't possible.
That's so
So I was
scary.
very scared. I was really scared that it was going to mess everything up, but I got clemency from the shoe. Not a lot
That's
of people know that. Thanks, Malik. Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. What was it like to be in prison one day and then not only be out, but to be thrown into like the busiest airport in the world the very next day?
That was crazy. So I had to get off the compound that day by 4 o'clock because at 4 o'clock count, they had to be a head short, like a head less, because I had immediate release. So I had to, so whenever they took me to the airport, my case manager took me to the airport and she just dropped me off in front of the Orlando airport. And I said, are you going to walk with me in there? And she was like, no, bye. You're on your own. Bye. And I was like, okay, well, I've been in prison almost 7 years. You're not going to like help me out. And she was like, bye, this is it. You're gone. No, no, I'm not doing anything else for you. I brought you here. I gave you a ride. You got your information. You're on your own. So I flew. So I got on the airplane. I found my way. I got on the airplane in Orlando in my seating arrangement because it was a 747, the big planes. My seating arrangement, I was looking for seat number 25F. And so it's lined in threes. So whenever I got to my seat, it said 25. My seat was seat 25F, but the other seats were ED. So it was 25 FED. 25 fed. And I was like, did they do this on purpose? Somebody did this on purpose. So anyway, so I flew from Orlando to Atlanta. Whenever I got to Atlanta, I was like, because I used to live in England. So I used to fly to and from Atlanta. I mean, to and from the States over to England all the time. So I'm familiar with Atlanta airport, but a lot has changed. So when I got to the biggest international airport and I got off the airplane, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have a nervous breakdown right here. Everything was crazy because you walk to a restaurant and you have to have, like, in front of the restaurant, it has a sign and it has a little scan code on a sign and it said scan here to eat. So I was like, I don't have a phone, so I can't eat. These people are not going to let me eat because I don't have a phone. I don't know how to do this. So I walk in the restaurant and I go up to the bartender and I was like, can I eat here? And she was like, yeah. And I said, well, I don't have a phone. How do I eat? And she was like, sit down. I said, how am I going to order? And she was like, you talk to me verbally? And I was like, oh my God, listen, lady. And that's when I said, listen, I just got out of federal prison. This is really all new to me. And it was a good conversation piece, so it started from there. But so I had to call Malik and Amy because I wanted them to be the first people that I talked to tell them thank you because they don't get enough credit. And they deserve a lot of it. So I went to an information desk and I asked a random person if I could use the phone. And he was like, here, use my cell phone. So I talked to this dude. I talked to Malik off this dude's cell phone for how long? Like almost an hour. We talked to Amy. Yeah. And Malik was like, get him to take a picture of you in your prison grays. And I was like, no, I'm not asking him to do that. This is not even my phone. This is his phone. I'm not asking him to do that, Malik. And he was like, Age, you got to get this dude to do it. Just ask him. He's going to do it. I mean, being pushy like he is. And I was like, oh my God. So I did, and he did it. And I sent it to Malik and he was like, that's a good picture. So it was crazy. So I had to find my way around. I wanted him to come to the airport because, he's in Atlanta, but we didn't have enough time. So it was crazy.
What was the first thing that you ate?
A burger, a big, fat, juicy mushroom, Swiss, onion, bacon, all kinds of stuff on it. Burger that wasn't good on my tummy.
That's awesome. What else you got?
As far as like since you've been out, how you doing as far as like
what? Y'all are breaking up a little bit. What'd you say?
How are you doing like adjusting to all the technology and everything since you've been home?
Well, I'm doing pretty good now. I mean, it's taken me a minute. I still have a hard time. I just got an iPhone, so I'm having a little bit of a hard time with that. But I'm doing okay, better than I thought I would.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So would you say that it's very important, like as far as reentry and having family support, how important is that?
Super important. It's so important to have family support. I think because my parents were shocked because they weren't really expecting it to happen. They were hopeful, but they too were like a lot of people, like, oh, bless her heart, we're just going to continue to help her because I know it helps pass the time. So they weren't really, not that they weren't expecting it. They were hoping for it. So they were, when I was in, they were like, they wanted to help and support and be supportive and help me through the whole process. And now that I'm out, they have followed through with everything, and they have been so supportive. It is so important to have, if it's not family, just to have someone that can help you. It's so important. I feel so bad for people that don't. It breaks my heart for people that don't. I could not imagine not having it.
It means everything, right?
It does. It means everything. It means absolutely everything. Yes.
Yeah, if you're in prison or not. I mean, support is just
And
so
it's necessary. It's imperative. You have to have it. Whatever
Yeah.
that looks like, you have to have it because it's lonely. I mean, I found myself being lonely out here. I moved to a different city, and I'm kind of, I mean, sometimes I feel lonely, and I have to remember, Adrianne, you have family, you have people that love you.
So let me ask you this, like you talked about just now, moving to a different city. I know at one
Mhm.
point when we spoke on the phone, you said you had to move from, I think Montgomery to Dothan, or you had to move from point A to point B, wherever it was, because the same crowd was doing the same stuff and you didn't want to get sucked in.
Yeah. So whenever I released to Montgomery, which is my hometown. I have, my family there, which, they were all happy to have me home, but they have their lives, as y'all know, life goes on. Life doesn't stop because we get out of prison. People don't stop because we get out of prison. Life continues to go on. So I could not expect my family to be there. They are there for me, but I couldn't expect them to stop their lives and be at my every beck and call and save me from every situation, So, I quickly realized that it was not a good situation for me to be in Montgomery, because, not saying that I'm not strong enough to overcome temptation, I am, but it is, if I have other options available, that is, that was important for me to make that decision to go with the other options instead of putting myself in situations that I know would be too risky, or, I pray that I don't fall weak. That's certainly not my intentions, but I just don't want to put myself in situations where the temptation would be so available when I have other options. So yes, I did have to relocate to another city in order to avoid, not that I'm not going to get it in everywhere you go, because it is everywhere. However, it's just not as prevalent, if you have other options and start over in a completely new setting. And that's what I chose to do.
Would you recommend that to a lot of people that are coming home?
If it's an option and you have support and you have stability and structure and in your other options, then yes, I would absolutely. Some people say geographical change isn't always the answer, and it's not for everyone. But sometimes it's necessary in these situations.
So I have one last question. If you had to say something to the youth out there that are listening to you, because like a lot of youth today, they think like going to prison is cool and going in and out of jail is cool, what would you tell them?
It's not cool. Your choices matter. Every choice has a natural consequence, and you need to listen to the people that are older than you that have wisdom, and take heed to their wisdom, because your choices will affect you for the rest of your life. It doesn't matter what they are. Every choice you make will affect you in every area of your life. Prison is not cool. Once you're there, you're there. You are stuck there. It's an anomaly for people to be able to get out of prison, especially federal prison. It can happen. You just have to fight. However, it's just not worth it. Your choices are so imperative in your life for the rest of your life.
It's a great answer.
So good, Adrianne. I was trying to get a question out of Jack. You remember Jack? We met
Jack
Jack.
says hi. He's
Yeah, he
like,
was cool.
Yeah.
what?
He
Yeah.
called during this and I was like,
He's like,
I said, are you watching? And he said, yes. And I'm like, well, I can't answer the
I
phone,
know.
right?
He's like, I want to go on. Hey, I want to be on. I go, I can't.
Yeah. I remember Jack.
Well, hi, Jack. I was
Okay.
trying to get him to ask a question, but he hasn't.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
he did ask.
Oh, he did ask.
Said, he said that she's right, that he did do a geographic change and it was the best choice he could have ever made.
Good.
Shalana Cosby says hi, Malik.
Oh, that's
and-
just
yeah.
Shalane
Oh,
McFarland.
Shalana McFarland.
Mhm.
Okay, and then let's see, there was another one.
So, age, you never know where I'll pop up.
Yeah, you never know.
Malik, you have completely shocked me. Now I know what you mean when you said to me on the phone, what are you going to be doing this weekend? And I was like, I don't know. And you were like, I may even see you. I'm going on vacation. I may even see you. Now I know, you sneaky little. That's okay. I got your number, Malik.
Okay, and Jack wanted to know what the obstacles were that you encountered when you got out. What was the major obstacle?
Well, when you first get out, I mean, obviously the major obstacle is having clothes to wear. You have to have clothes to wear, and you don't have any. I didn't have any. So that was a huge one for me. Going places, because like I said, life doesn't stop. It doesn't stop for people because you get out of prison. Sure, they can like alter their schedule. And thank God my mother did that, because she took me a lot of places, did a lot of my running around for me. But between clothes, going places, money. I mean, I had some money saved up in prison, but that was eventually gone. Going to get your driver's license. I mean, all of that. Thank God, one good thing I can say about coming out of prison is I was prepared. My case manager was very adamant about getting our social security cards and our birth certificates in our file. So when we got out, we had that to start off with. So it made it easier for you to get your identification. So luckily I had that. That's what it's about, I guess, a good unit team in federal prison, Christy. So yeah, that was all of those were obstacles.
Okay, great. Thanks for all your time. This is so. Oh yeah, I would love for you to shout out some organizations.
All right, so I know a lot of times people that are in prison, they don't know that there are organizations that exist, and sometimes even family members, they don't know that there are organizations out here that exist. So
That's true.
I'm just going to give some shout outs to the organizations that can be called off the top of my head.
Okay, let's see.
How about this one? What's this one?
First and foremost, my big sister, Amy at Canton Clemency.
The whole time Adrianne was talking
Yeah.
about it, I'm looking at Malik and I was laughing.
Second, I got to shout my sister, Karen Morrison at Freedom Fighters.
Yes, we love Karen.
Topeka Sam at LOHM, Ladies of Hope Ministries. Lisa Jacoby at Second Chances. Cedric Dean out of Charlotte, North Carolina was saved. Chad Marks doing
Malik surprised me. He's
Wire.
there. Okay.
Love on the
That's
Razor
Malik.
Wire. What's his name? Kendrick Fulton out there doing Life in the Feds.
Which we're gonna have on next episode.
In 2 weeks, we'll have Kendrick on with us.
Kendrick with Life in the Fed. Man, Pistol Pete doing the Dog in the Yard YouTube channel. And I can't really remember everybody, but I didn't forget about you intentionally. That's a lot on my mind right now. So as always.
Nice. Yeah, it's that part is important. I know when I was in prison, I had no idea anyone was fighting for anything. It was just I had heard of FAM. Yeah. I had heard of FAM only through my mom, and I thought, oh, good, there's like one person in the whole universe that's fighting for us in there, because you really are cut off from the rest of the world. I mean, you really are. At least, that's how I felt. And so to come out and know that there's all these people doing amazing work is great. And I could see you also being a part of that. I could see you, I'm telling you, law school, you need to save your pennies for law school.
Malik, are you letting her talk about this? Like, really? No.
Your pennies, okay?
Yes, yeah. In fact, we always want to do an ask at the end to see if anybody, like, is there anything that we can do to support you, or any of our listeners that are watching to say, hey, I want to support that girl. And, if anyone has an in a law school, or let's see, wants to do, like, I don't know, give like a scholarship to Adrianne to go to college for law school, that would be.
I do want to go to school. I really do want to go to school. I want to get a degree. Yes, I do.
I can see that. Can you imagine her as a lawyer? Everyone would be like, give the girl, okay, she wins, we'll get her off my ass.
Malik's gonna be my partner in crime.
Oh, that'd be
My
awesome.
paralegal.
Nice. Cool. All right.
I'm really not here. I'm in Atlanta for real. This is just technology.
Whatever, Malik. You pulled the okey doke on me. I'm gonna pull that.
This is a
Huh?
hologram.
Whatever. You did it again. I love you.
Well, then
Love
too,
you
I want to say, Malik, I know this is about Adrianne, but you guys work together a lot with, helping her get out. And so, I had said to you before too, how important it is to have someone on the out that's actually helping you and talking to you and pushing you and doing the
It
work.
don't stop. It don't stop when they get out of prison for Malik. It does not stop. It don't stop with Amy when people get out of prison. It doesn't. I mean, they make it a point to keep in touch with you. Like, I'll go like for a couple of days and not talk to Malik, and he's like, all right, Age, what's going on? Like, talk to me, let me know what's going on. So it doesn't stop just because we get out of prison for people like them. And again, their heart is so pure and their motives are so pure, so genuine. So, I mean, listen.
It's not stopping for you either, because
Right.
you shared with us, you already have how many people that you're now writing letters to.
Yeah.
Malik was writing to you, and you are
Yeah.
letters to women.
Yeah.
Doing the same work. You're passing it on, and you're
Of
giving
course.
some service to them now. So it's
Of course. Like,
and
I
we're
would be
by this too.
right. I would be so selfish to sit on this blessing and not pay it forward. Like, I would be so selfish.
What a
So
great
selfish.
I would be so selfish to sit on this blessing.
Right. I mean, it would be selfish of me. How could I got clemency. Like, I got clemency. I'm in a group of 143 people. I'm just going to sit here and do logistics for the rest of my life? No, it would make no sense.
Last night on Wikipedia, Trump's clemencies, and there's your name right there on Wikipedia.
No, it's crazy. It's a good.
Like I tell you, sometimes it's just interesting because like so many of the girls in Coleman
Mm-hmm.
you were with, that now that you're out, now they see like, oh yeah, like all that stuff Adrianne was doing, it works. You know what I'm saying? So like I tell you all the time, like now they're asking me for addresses and all this kind of stuff.
Sorry, Malik. Like, work overload.
Now they see that it works. You know what I'm saying? Now they
Work overload.
Yeah, I'm saying, but now they see that now they're believers. You know what I'm saying? But they weren't believers probably when you were there. They thought you were crazy, like you said earlier. But now that they see all your effort and action, and that you're home, it's like, oh, like yo, like if Adrianne can do it, I can do it. You know, but they should have been thinking that.
Can I introduce you? Can I introduce my best friend, y'all? Okay, come here, Amy.
Party now.
She's like my sister. She's like my sister. I've known her since I was 8 years old, but she too, she did 8.5 years in Mariana.
Wow. Yes, I want to meet you.
Don't you get on the show?
Hello.
Hi there.
Welcome.
Wait, hold on. Okay, there we go.
Hey.
Hi, welcome.
Hello.
Thank you. I didn't know I was going to be on here, but
Are you guys having like the ultimate girl sleepover every night? Slumber party? Oh,
Do what?
Are you guys having the ultimate girl slumber party every night?
reuniting.
We're reuniting.
Nice. That's so great.
I just wanted y'all to meet her. That's Malik. This is Allison, and that's Christy.
Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to
Nice
meet
to
you.
meet you.
Say hi.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna wrap this up,
Okay.
and we will just be talking to you later because we might have to have you back on. And
Okay.
you have so much more to your story and so much more to offer, and it's hard to squeeze it in an hour. But
Yeah.
thank you for for someone like me, that every time I hear a story and every time I meet a new person,
Okay.
again, I started this way, but we are all so much the same. We all want so much of the same things. I mean, the love, the acceptance, being understood. We all have
Yeah.
messy parts to our lives, and we don't
Yeah.
want to be thrown away because we
Yeah.
have parts to our lives. We want to be able to have room and space
Right.
to change and love on other people. And you're doing that, and it helps me to meet you. And thank you for sharing for all the people watching this.
Yeah.
And the families that are watching it. I think it's really huge for
Thank you so much for having me.
encouragement
Mhm.
that you are going to give any family watching this of what can be done, and that they're like Christy didn't know, there's so many resources out there, and even more than probably
Yeah.
mentioned. So this is a huge encouragement
Mhm.
beyond what you can probably even imagine. So thank you for putting yourself, just the vulnerable part of this part of your life out there.
Yeah, and I want to say one thing.
Yeah. No, thank y'all for having me. I appreciate it. I will do anything I can to help everybody. And I love y'all so much. And to everybody that's watching, thank you so much for being supportive. I love y'all. If there's anything I can do, please let me know.
Awesome. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. I was just going to say that the fact that you started to talk about where you were, and you said it makes a
Mhm.
really good conversation piece. I
It
think it's
does.
so important, even for people that have not been in prison, to use their messy part, the things that they feel make them like shameful or take away their worth. I think that is actually their superpower. So it's like fire. If you talk about your messiness or the shameful things, and really in a way that like kicks ass and takes down some barriers, it could be the superpower that catapults you above everything else that people are trying to portray themselves in a certain way. So I love that you do that. I cannot wait for you to call to say you just got into law school, because we're gonna make that happen.
They're trying to figure.
Yeah, for sure, law school. So thank you, Adrianne.
Okay, we love you.
I love y'all too. Malik, you sneaky Pete. Whatever. I love y'all so much.
You never know when I will show up.
Huh?
I'm really not here. This is technology. It's a
You're
hologram.
there. You're so there. Not even funny. That's okay. I love y'all.
Okay, bye, Adrienne.
Oh, thank y'all.
You're welcome.
Bye.